Hello, everybody. Peter Christensen here with Craig Wagner, and we are here today because of the new REPSY that just dropped. And we're going to do a series of videos. We're going to break this down into a series of videos, really kind of going through it page by page and getting into some detail. But we thought we'd do this quick intro to let you know there is a new REPSY. It's going to feel very different when you look at it to start, but the concept, the spirit and operation behind it is not as different as it appears. Most of the concepts are very familiar, just in a new format that looks pretty good, I think. And so once we get the hang of it and we start to get familiar with it, and section names have changed, numbering has changed, but really a lot of the same stuff is in there. I think it will ultimately be a positive change in the long run. It's a little bit of pain, but I think it'll be worth it. So, Craig, the question comes up when we talk about this new REPSY. What's wrong with the old REPSY?
Nothing. No. I mean, the 2018 version, that was the last time we had a major revamp, is and has worked really well. And so really any sort of updating is based on phone calls that I get, industry experts making minor suggestions, and then you kind of add all those up. It does become a little more substantive over the years. So, part of the why is because there are a number of things that have come up year over year that I kind of collect, and ultimately we've tried to incorporate many of these changes, or at least have the discussion whether it warrants a change or not.
Good point.
And in many instances, we didn't make a change, saying, hey, the existing language works and it's satisfactory. So that's kind of the why, is based on things that arise over the industry over the years. And then you kind of get to the how. Well, how does this get changed? Well, ultimately, any sort of discussion with the forums committee at the UAR level are just that. They're discussions. Certainly, we're making edits. We have a number of representation from all of the local boards, and their experience is invaluable. And certainly, we've had feedback from outside of the forums committee. But they're suggestions, in essence, to the Real Estate Commission and the Attorney General's office. Both entities were involved pretty early on. And this wasn't just a flippant, let's do this in a couple of months. This was about a year process, meeting on at least 20 times over that period, and then having discussion and edits before. So it's been discussed and analyzed, and certainly, I'm sure we'll get feedback in practice. But that's kind of the process, is making suggestions to the Real Estate Commission. Real Estate Commission has it reviewed, they approve it, and then it goes to the Attorney General's office, and then they research and they approve it as well.
And you mentioned that this is a little different. How is this different than a lot of the forms we work on and update, like property condition disclosures, forms like that? Why is this one different?
Yeah, that's a great point. The reason why is this is a state, meaning a Utah state-approved form. So that's why the Real Estate Commission and the Attorney General's office is involved, as opposed to a UAR form, which is copyrighted and only for use by Realtor members. This form is used by every licensee, and frankly, members of the public have access to this form. So it technically isn't our form, though we want to be involved, and we have good feedback from our members as to what changes are necessary that would work well.
Excellent. Thank you for that explanation. And a lot of hours and discussion went into this form, and Craig brings up a great point. There was, really billions of dollars of real estate go through this form, and it's a lot of pressure when you're changing it, suggesting updates. It has to be very well thought out, and even stuff that did not change, there were lots of discussions of potential changes that resulted in no change at all. And having been on that committee for 19 years now, as staff and as a chair and as a regular member, I really appreciate how that committee operates, how there are small markets, big brokerages, small brokerages, attorneys, practitioners. There really is such a nice mix and a nice collaboration where somebody's idea gets thrown out there, and then there's so much input and so much back and forth and compromise that I think we end up with really a good result. And I echo that the old REPSY there was nothing wrong with it. It's almost in an 8-year cycle. I don't think that's on purpose by any stretch, but that's what I've seen since I've been involved with the realtors, is about an 8-year cycle where this gets revisited and updated. And times change, terminology changes, practices change, and all that merits updates. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive in on the next video.